Hello friends, thank you for joining me today for this tutorial on how to sprout or sprou-to video. I'm going to be demonstrating how to sprout legumes. Specifically, we have chickpeas, we have brown lentils, and we have mung beans. And I'm going to be using these specialized sprouting jars. These are about 1 litre in volume, and they have these specialized mesh lids. You can buy these on Amazon or eBay. Just search sprouting jar mesh lid or something like that. If you're interested in giving this a try but you don't have these or don't wish to buy these, then I'll make another video demonstrating other ways you can do it. But yeah, we're going to start with legumes because they're the easiest things to sprout in my experience. They're the least fussy customers, and they're just a great place to start if you're into this kind of thing. So yeah, let's get started. So the process for making sprouts is actually very simple. It just requires a couple of steps and a few days of patient waiting. But the actual hands-on time involvement is very minimal. The first thing I'd recommend you do is clean your containers. Just using regular dish soap is fine, and just give the containers and the lids a good clean to reduce the chance of bacteria building up and that kind of thing. Once your containers are clean, they'll be ready to host your specimens. You want to fill the container no more than 1/4 with the dry seeds. So for these 1 litre containers, that equates to 1 standard US cup in volume, or about 200 grams in weight of seeds. Just as a quick note, just to give you an idea of how much stuff you're making here, I normally sprout about this much at once, and I eat a fair portion of them every day, and that will last me for the better part of a week. So if you think that's going to be too much for you and you just want to take it easy to begin with, I'd recommend maybe halving that amount, so about 100 grams. Okay, and only a few of them missed. Okay, so maybe you don't want to use a cup, maybe you want to use a measuring jug or something, because that was very messy. Okay, and then next, just take some water and we fill up the rest of the jar. Just plain old tap water is fine. Is it going to be enough? No. Okay, and then simply replace the lids. So this really is the first step in the process of making your sprouts. It's just leaving them to soak. And they're going to need to soak for around 8 to 12 hours. And in fact, from this point on, they're going to require a little bit of attention at roughly 8 to 12 hour intervals. In practice, all this means is you just need to set aside a couple of minutes towards the start of your day and towards the end of your day, just to make sure that their needs are met. But for this first step, all they're going to do is sit in water. Having left them alone for the required time, upon returning, you may notice that your specimens have grown significantly. This is on account of them having had a lovely big drink. If you look closely, you might also see air bubbles forming. First signs of life. This brings us to the next step in the process, rinsing and draining the seeds. So just to give you an idea of what this looks like, quite simply, pour away the water they were soaking in. Pour in some new water. Give them a little bit of a shake. And then pour it out again. And I'm just going to repeat that with the others as well. So we have the lentils. You'll notice the water looks kind of murky as it comes out. That's just sort of impurities and In some cases, I think it's just the pigment from the skins just leaching into the water a bit. It's nothing to worry about, but generally it's a good idea to rinse and shake until the water looks clear. Also, I'm wearing these gloves. You probably don't want to be wearing gloves to do this because look, they've gone all wet and who needs that? But yeah, the same again. Give them a shake. Pour it away. So now that the seeds are rinsed, we just need to leave them to drain. Probably the quickest, easiest way to do this is just using a simple bowl. You just take your seeds and you put them in at about a 45-degree angle. Another option, I don't have one of these, but if you have one of these dish drying racks by your sink, that's another good place to do it. Personally, I use this. It's this weird cupboard we have in the kitchen with perfect jar storing space, and it's even got a pipe at the bottom which collects and takes away all the excess water, so it's perfect for sprouting. So maybe you have one of these cupboards in your home, maybe you don't, but wherever you decide to store your seeds, ideally you want the jars to be stored at a roughly 45-degree angle. This allows excess water to drain out through the lids easily enough, and it also supposedly just allows a little bit more air circulation compared to storing them, say, vertically. I don't know how much of a difference it really makes, but both of these things are important to grow good, healthy sprouts. So the purpose of rinsing and draining the seeds is actually twofold. First of all, we're cleaning them. So we're removing impurities, we're preventing bacteria from building up. And second of all, we're watering them. So now that we know how and why to drain the seeds, all we have to do is wait, which again, it's about another 8 to 12 hours. And this step really, all you do from here on is you're just repeating this last step over and over again. So we're going to come back in another 8 to 12 hours for another rinse and another drain. And we'll see how they're getting on. Good night, children. Oh look, it's morning. That means it's time to check on the babies. Right then, how we all sleep. Before we jump into the rinsing and draining, it's a good idea just to inspect the specimens and just have a little bit of a look at them, really. I know that you're probably a busy person and you just want this to be over as quick as possible, but I promise you this whole process will be a lot more rewarding if you slow down and appreciate what you're doing here, which is creating new life, essentially. It's a very beautiful thing to witness. So these chickpeas, for instance, you can see that the points are becoming a little bit more defined. That's actually the beginnings of their first root. And similarly, if you look at the lentils, some of these are starting to develop these little things that look a bit like elephant tails or something, and that's the same situation. In fact, I have a little elephant over here, and that is also sprouting. Yeah, not much from the mung beans yet, but the little white parts you can see they're starting to protrude a little bit. So yeah, things are happening already. Very exciting. Now for the second rinsing, it's just going to be exactly the same as the first time around. So just fill them up, give them each a little shake, a little stir, a little bit of circulation, and drain the water. And finally return them to their nest. And that's it, and we just leave them to drain again for, you guessed it, 8 to 12 hours. Right, so this guy's gone black. That means it's time. Hello. Right, what we got? Chickpeas. Getting pointier. Lentils. You can see a few white bits, white tails poking out. There we go. Lovely. And mung beans. Same story, little pointy white tails. Perfect. Magic is happening. Bosh. Bosh. And bosh. Whoops. Bosh, bosh, bosh. Righty, righty. What's cooking? Excellent. Okay, so chickpeas. Definite tails. Lentils. Definite tails. Mung beans. Looking almost exactly like elephant butts. So these are actually edible from this point onwards. And this is the stage I like to eat them at, preferably. When they're younger and less developed, they're generally a little bit sweeter. And the longer that you leave them to grow for, generally the more bitter they'll start to taste, and also the tougher they'll be as, you know, they build more structural strength as a young plant. However, what I would encourage you to do is, from around this point on, if you wish to keep rinsing them and draining them and leaving them as we have been, then every time you do that, just taste them, see what you think, see how you like them, see how the flavor develops. So definitely these two will get quite tough quite quickly after this. Mung beans are an exception because they grow very succulent roots and are actually, when you get bean sprouts from an Asian restaurant or your supermarket's stir-fry meal deal, that's exactly what that is. That's mature bean sprouts. Sorry, mature mung bean sprouts. So there you go. Now you know how to grow your own bean sprouts. But yeah, I'm going to call these done, I think. And I'll leave it up to you to decide how much longer you want to go on for. Just a quick point to make about storing your sprouts. You want to keep them in the fridge. However, you want to make sure that they're as dry as you can, really, because the longer they're sitting in water, the faster they'll go like mushy and possibly develop bacterial cultures and things which you don't want. So generally, I don't rinse them the last time before putting them in the fridge. I just put them straight in the fridge. And yeah, you can either keep them in the fridge in these jars and the air circulation will help to dry them out a bit while they're in there, or you can transfer them to Tupperware, in which case they'll last a bit longer, but they should last for a week or so in the fridge. Yeah. And also, the cold also suspends their growth. So once you refrigerate them, they should more or less stay in the state that you've left them in. So there we go. Now you know how to sprout. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this useful, informative, possibly even, dare I say, entertaining. And yeah, if you want any more information, just message me or leave a comment and I'll try my best to answer. And I'll also try and put together some more sprouting videos soon, along with other nutritional topics, because having mastered the legumes, you're probably wondering where you can go with this next. So yeah, till next time.